Hello, everyone. Good morning. Please let me know if you can hear me. Please, if you can hear me, let me know. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So good to have you again. I hope you all had an amazing weekend. You can just send in your comments in the chat box. Good morning, Winifred. Good morning. I hope you all had an amazing weekend. I know last week was more like a marathon. From Monday to Friday, we were always on the call. And of course, we're still going to have that this week. I hope you're ready. So in the next 3 minutes, we should have our session for today. Again, we'll be having the taxation session, but due to the questions or comments I've received regarding the petty cash documents that were shared over the weekend, so Mr. Olasaji is going to be taking in just a brief introduction or a brief overview rather on that, so you can have like more knowledge about how to use it. So he will be giving the first 10 minutes of today's session just to explain briefly on the petty cash documents that was shared over the weekend. So please, once again, we indulge your commitments as much as we can all through this program. I know you actually gave all of that throughout last week, but this week we are also expecting same commitment from everyone. So once again, welcome on board. And as usual, we might not be able to give in 5 minutes, we might give in a 2 minutes so we can have other participants joining in today's session, and just so we can quickly go through the petty cash document overview before we now kickstart the session for today. So please, just 2 minutes and we will start officially. Thank you. Okay, everyone, good morning. Welcome on board. Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome on board once again to the SMEDAN Entrepreneurship Program. And of course, this is actually going to be our last week of our training program. And we would definitely want it to be an amazing week, just as we had our sessions last week. So welcome once again. Thank you for your commitment so far. It's been an amazing journey with everyone. So and today we'll be having our taxation session. I know most of you that actually participated in the financial management session, you would definitely have heard from Mr. Olasoji Odwanyo. But for those that are just joining in, I'll just go into what we have for today. I'm just going to introduce him just so you know who your facilitator is for today. So today we'll be having Mr. Olasoji Odwanyo take us on taxation. Mr. Olasoji Odwanyo is a seasoned accountant, a tax professional, and a public speaker. He's an associate member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, with a strong bias for small and medium-scale enterprises, non-profit and faith-based organizations. He has specialized in helping heads of these organizations make better and more informed financing and investment decisions by helping them create structures and systems that allow for order and lasting organic growth. He is a strict proponent of order, compliance, and structure, and he has a life target of reaching and directly influencing 1 million businesses and entrepreneurs with his message of structure. So please, everyone, let's welcome our facilitator for today, Mr. Olasoji Odwanyo.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Hope you can hear me. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
you can hear me. Thank you so much. So good to be here again. And it's been a great time and awesome feedback from the class we had on Friday. And I am hoping that we are going to be having another great time today talking about taxes. I know tax is one of the topics that entrepreneurs, are so scared about and worried about, but I'll try to make it I will try to make it not to be as scary as possible and try and address every of our questions. I know some of us started asking me earlier as at Friday about some questions about taxes, and I said we're going to try to address every question on tax today. And if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments section as we continue, and then they'll be addressed after the class during the Q&A session. But before we go into the tax session, like the host said, we'll quickly address the petty cash template that we dropped earlier. Like I said on Friday, the reason why I dropped the template is so we talked about, one of the things we talked about on Friday was cash. And I explained that cash is very slippery. It's one of the things that can easily bring a business down if cash is not properly managed, especially with businesses that deal with a lot of cash payments, where either you run a grocery store, you run a business where people pay, you run a retail business where customers pay a lot in cash, and that means that you have to deal with a lot of customer payments that is done in cash. And sometimes you are not the one directly being paid to. That means people are paying to your staff, people are paying to people within your business. And a lot of cash is coming in, a lot of cash is going out. If not careful, you're going to be losing a lot of money and you wouldn't even know. All right. And one of the tools that we use when helping businesses set up a good and proper cash management system is that petty cash template that I dropped. So I'll quickly share that. Hope I can share my screen. Okay, thank you. So I'll quickly do a brief explanation of that petty cash template and what you should be.
Sorry, Mr. Olasoji, I just wanted to note something for everyone. So
Okay.
for those that are saying they can't find the petty cash voucher, I'm going to be sharing it right now on the group so you can follow through with what Mr. Olasoji is going to be talking about.
Okay. All right.
So please check the group.
All right. So and I'm also sharing the documents on the screen so you could see. So this is the template. Like I said, it's a simple template that businesses. Now the purpose of this voucher is basically, now every time people have to spend cash within your business, all right, now this will not help you track cash that is coming in. It is meant to help you track cash that is going out. That means that when people have to spend cash on behalf of the business, either you are, for instance, you have, you are giving someone in your company cash to do petty things within the office, all right? They want to go and buy fuel. They want to go and buy whatever it is. They want to buy things that require that they spend cash. Now, the mistake a lot of business owners make is, we want to buy this. How much is it? You just give the person cash. The person goes, and there is no documentation for that cash. Now, the only thing is that maybe the only thing that you will see, sometimes you even send money to people's personal accounts from the business accounts. All right. Now, the challenge is that and we're going to talk about this when we start talking about taxes, when you send money to your staff to help to do something for the company, you send it to their personal account from the company account. If you don't have a document like this cash voucher that breaks down what that money was used for, tax bodies are going to assume that you paid them for a service and they are going to charge you for withholding tax. So this document is very important. If in your business, usually you send money from the company account to your staff for them to help to do things in the office. You want to buy a printer, you send money to your staff, go and buy this printer. It is counted as you gave the person cash, just that you transfer to the person's account from the company account. There should be a document like this that shows what that money was used for. So this document is basically to explain what the money that was sent to somebody or given to someone as cash was used for. So what the person is supposed to do, there's a place for company name. That document is editable. So you're supposed to edit the company name. All right, change it to the name of your company. All right, petty cash voucher, you don't need to edit that. The business address, you're supposed to put it in that box for business address. Then the date that transaction was carried out, you're supposed to enter it in that date section. All right, and then now this numbering is for you, so that you can be able to track, if you want to trace it later, trace that document later, you can be able to know, okay, what was the number on the petty cash voucher you filled. All right, so this numbering can be changed also. Of course, I started it with 0001, there's 0002. So subsequent ones, when you are printing it, now you can print the document, or you can use it on the system and just have maybe a Google, somewhere on Google Drive where you save it, when people fill it. All right, so you're supposed to be editing that number for subsequent ones. That's the purpose of that numbering. Numbering is very important for the sake of tracking, for the sake of reference later on. All right, now you have serial number. Now, the person that spends the money is supposed to fill this. The person is supposed to fill in, or if not that person, maybe the accountant that is giving them money. After they are done spending the money, they will come down and give the person a breakdown of what they use the money for. And then you have the serial number, description of what they use the money for, account code if there's an account code for it, but you don't have to fill that if you don't have an accounting system that is coded. Then the amounts that they spent. So if I give somebody 10,000, for instance, and the person say bought fuel 5,000, I write number one, fuel, account code, if there's a code, I put it 016, for instance, and then the amount 5,000. And then maybe the person also bought office files, and then the person spent the account code 032. I'm just putting that as numbers. All right, say office files, another 5,000. All right, so the total of what this person spent is 10,000. All right. So now, received by, who was the person that collected the money to go and spend it? That person is supposed to sign here. Or if you are not printing it out and it's just an online or a system document, you can just enter the person's name here. Authorized by, who authorized the spending of that money. All right, that person's signature or name will be there. And then this place where I wrote there, attach other paperwork with this voucher. So for instance, where they went to buy the fuel, did they collect a receipt? Attach it. Where they went to buy the office file, did they collect a receipt or any other document? Attach it. This document is for referencing, so that if somebody comes later, a tax authority comes to your office and they are auditing, or an auditor comes, or whatever it is, if there's a case of fraud later and we're doing an investigation, we can basically look at this voucher that's been filled, look at the attached documents as supporting evidence that this money was actually spent for what is written on the voucher, and the person is free. This is a way to protect your business from mismanagement of cash. Like I said, it's one of the documents we use to help businesses track their cash. I think I'm going to stop here. I believe that the explanation has been good enough. If you still have any further questions, you can drop it in the comment section while we go into the main class for today. Light, I believe I'm fine with this. I can go ahead with the rest.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's go. We have a lot to do today, so I've got to move very fast with our tax class. So I'm talking about tax and your business, a brief guide for SMEs. My name is Olasoji Odunayo, like the introduction I said, and we'll go straight into it. Like I said at the beginning, tax is one of the topics that give business owners IBP. All right, so if you are currently having IBP for taxes, congratulations. I'm hoping that in this session, I'll be able to help you lower your BP and give you some good relief that will help you address whatever it is that the tax issues are addressing your company. All right. So now, I must say this, which is very important. This class, in the next 60 minutes or less, I hope I'll be able to explain to you all that you need to know about filing taxes for your business. Now, sorry, a minute. Now, how do I know if this class is for me? All right. Now, this class is for you if you are about to start a business. There are three people that this class is for. Number one, you're about to start a business and you're worried about the taxes that may be expected of you. All right. So congratulations. If you are in this category, this is good for you. You are knowing from the very beginning, which is they say prevention is better than cure. All right. The second class of people, you are already in business, but you are about making expansion decisions and you want to know the tax implications. And if you are in this category, you need, yes, fine. Your business has already started. Some of the things you are going to be hearing here is going to be a little bit late, but you can still work on it. I can see some people already raising their hands. You can write your questions down in the comment section if you have a question. And if you, or we'll give you the space to be able to ask your question at the end of the class so that we can be fast about this. All right, so number 3 category, you are already having issues with tax authorities and you want to know what to do exactly. Some of us have already collected a letter from a tax authority. If you have already collected a letter from the tax authority, I want you to signify in the comment section, just write, I have a letter already, because that means that you might, if I will categorize you like a doctor, I will say probably you're already in ICU. But let's hope that it's something that we can quickly get to resolve. So if you already have a letter from the tax authorities right now, or maybe they have already come visiting and they are already disturbing you, please write it in the comment section. I want to know, because your issue might be something that might require very urgent attention, and it's something that I would love to address, hopefully, as we go on in the class. So now, before I go on, I like starting with a brief question. Have you answered the why question. Every time I get to talk about taxes to small businesses and medium-scale businesses particularly, I like starting with the why question, because I believe so strongly that your why for doing business is what will determine how seriously you will take taxes or not. The reason a lot of us are not taking taxes seriously is because we don't really have a very strong why for doing business. All right, and I'm going to explain why this is important. All right, your why for doing business will determine. Now, how many of us have experienced this what you ordered versus what you got scenario? All right, this is what I have on the screen should be telling you. All right, so on the left, you have what you ordered, what you were expecting, your expectations. On the right, you have your reality. And I must say, the picture on the right looks quite beautiful. It just depends on what you're looking at. All right, they say beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. But the truth is that, for some of us, the picture on the left signifies the kind of business we claim to be building. All right, when we come to social media, for some of us say we are building a global brand, we are building, a business that will serve, on the international level. Yeah, in fact, some of us, your business is, when you named your business, you called it international, all right, or global concepts, or, something international, something beautiful, something global. But the reality on the right is the kind of business you are actually building. All right, and one of the things that will show me what kind of business you are really building is your why for business. Are you building your business like a side hustle, or you are building as a full-time job? Now, I'm not saying that you have to be doing business full-time. That means that maybe some of us, you are working and you have your business registered and you are running your business. Now, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the mindset with which you are running the business. All right. You can be working and running your business by the side, but you are doing it as a full-time business. And you can be fully doing your business and you are still running it like you're running the side also. And that's what I see with a lot of business owners, that even though your business is the only thing you are doing, all right, your business is the only thing you are doing. It's not like you are doing another thing, but still I look at your business and I feel you are running your business like you are running a side also. And what do I mean by that? Most of the time, what shows the difference between someone that is running their business seriously and someone that is running the side also is lack of structure. So one of the things that will help you move your business from being a sidekick or a side hustle to being a structured business is the tax business, is the tax issue we're talking about in the class today. So I believe so strongly that for some of us, for most of us, that we are hoping to be able to move our business from being just a side business, something that we just make money by the side, to something that is going to be a global brand, a brand that can be able to take on any kind of business, a brand that can be able to compete at any level. All right, then this class is for you. I believe we're excited. If you're excited, just drop a comment in the comment section as we go headlong into it. So now I'm going to be talking about, in this class, I'm going to be touching briefly some of the general regulatory requirements that a business to. Now, usually I call it regulatory because, all right, there are three main things I'm going to be talking about. One of it is not necessarily taxes, but it is as important as taxes. All right, because it is important because it will affect your taxes eventually. And as you go on, you will see why. All right. So I call it regulatory, and then the other two are majorly taxes, about taxes. And I'm going to quickly touch those three things in a very short while. All right, so what are the general regulatory requirements for your businesses? You are running a business in Nigeria. Now, this applies only in Nigeria. If your business is not in Nigeria, well, it might apply in some ways to wherever your business is, but this particularly is very focused on businesses that are running in Nigeria at any level, no matter what kind of business you are doing. And I say this very boldly, no matter what kind of business you are doing, you have to attend to these three regulatory requirements. Number one is CAC registration and annual return. I'm going to be talking about it. I'm going to be talking about your state internal revenue. I called it LIRS because a lot of us are in Lagos, but even those that are not in Lagos, every state you are in Nigeria, there's a state internal revenue, including Abuja. FCT also has an internal revenue service. All right, so I'm going to be talking about your state internal revenue and the requirements, and then I'm going to be talking about FIRS, the Federal Inland Revenue Service. These three are very important and compulsory for every business registered in Nigeria. So let's go straight into it. First of all, let's talk about CAC. What does CAC expect from you? What does CAC expect from you if you have a business registered with the CAC in Nigeria? First, I'm going to talk about two aspects: pre-registration. What should you know before registering your business? Number two, post-registration. What should you do after registering your business? Now, I said it here, 99% of those who help people register businesses don't talk about the post-registration part. Most of the time, when people register businesses for you, they just register and give you the certificate and off they go. But there is a lot that you should do after registration that they don't talk about. And briefly, I'm going to talk about all of these things. Pre-registration, what should you do pre-registration? All right, what should you do before registering your business? Now, first of all, you should think about the structure that works for your business. All right, a lot of people ask me questions about should I register my business as a business name or as a company or as a limited, as a limited company. And most of the time, the only basis people make decision on the structure of their business is the cost. Of course, business name is a lot cheaper than limited. All right, but that should not be the only reason, because a lot of us register businesses. Few months down the line, we discover that what we registered, will not apply or will not work for our business, and then we're trying to change it, we're trying to convert, and then we now spend sometimes times 2, times 3 of what we would have spent if we had registered rightly from the beginning. All right, now with the CAC in Nigeria currently, there are majorly 4 different kinds of business structures. There's the sole proprietorship, which is what we call the business name. The normal, you could call it venture, you could call it enterprise, you could call it, but it's a business name. And the way you will know is on your CAC certificate, the number will start with BN. Business name, BN. All right, then we have partnerships. All right, partnerships could be limited partnerships, it could be normal partnership. All right, but they are partnerships business. Then number 3 is limited liability partnerships. All right, different from partnerships, like a mixture of limited liability company and partnership in features. All right, then lastly, there are companies. That means the limited liability company, which is the 1 million shares company most of us know, which we usually register. All right, but there are others, the public limited liability company. Companies are limited by shares, limited by guarantee. Now, I do not have the time to talk so much about all of this. We might address that if you have a private consulting session with me. But these are the structures that are available. Now, how do you determine the right structure for a business? Now, these are the things that should determine, not just the cost. Of course, the cost is the second thing I talked about, but there are other things. And please take a screenshot of this page. I might not have time to talk a lot about all of this. Some businesses have some certain licenses and permits that the business is required. For some businesses, you cannot register them as a limited liability, as a business name, sorry. For instance, right now in Nigeria, you cannot register a school as a business name. No matter, it's either you register as a limited liability company or it's nothing. So if you go ahead and register a school as a business name right now, it's a waste of money. There are some other kinds of business. In fact, there are some businesses that you can't even register as a 1 million shares company. It has to be, if you are registering a travels and tours business, for instance, you are registering with about 30 million shares. All right. Now, depending on what kind of business it is, there are different requirements. So you have to find out what is the requirement, what are the licenses and permits that my business needs, and what will it require to get those permits. All right. Cost of setting up, of course, is a very important consideration. Potential personal liability of the business owner. There are a lot of things there. Like I said, I may not have the time because of the little time we have. I won't want to dwell so much on CAC. When we have private consulting sessions with clients, we talk in detail about, we look at your business and advise you this is the best structure, so that you don't go ahead and register something that would be completely useless, and then you would have to spend a lot of money trying to convert later on. All right, so now post-registration, I'll quickly go on to post-registration. What should you do after registering your business. This is very important, and a lot of people don't know this. All right, what should I do after registering my business? Number one, start filing CAC annual returns. A lot of us don't know that after registering your business in Nigeria, you don't just carry your certificate, go and keep it somewhere and forget about it there, and then start making money with that business. Even if you're not making money with it, you are expected every year after the first year of registration, 12 to 18 months after, you are expected to start filing annual return. The general requirement for annual return with CAC in Nigeria is that you are expected to file annual return for the previous year between January to June of the next year. That means, for instance, 2022 annual return is expected that you would have filed it between January to June this year. If you have not filed it, you are already late, and there will be penalty for not filing at the right time. That means annual return for 2023 that we are currently in, you are expected to file it between January to June 2024. That means you should start preparing for that right now. If your business has been registered over 2 years, go to this website that is on the screen. All right, if you can do that on your screen. If not, take a screenshot and visit that website later on. search.cac.gov.ng/list and type in the name of your business and click search. Now, if your business is, you might need to select if your business is a business name or a limited liability company. What you will see is that it will show if your company is active or not. If your company is inactive, that means that you have not been filing annual return with the CAC. Now, if your company is inactive and it continues to be like that, after some time, CAC will deregister your company. That means that name that you think you have with the CAC can actually be given to somebody else. All right. Once they deregister you, that name is available for someone else to have. All right. So confirm, and you should do that today. If you have a business registered with the CAC, especially if that company is over 2 years, you should go to this website and confirm your current status. If it is inactive, that means that you are way overdue to file annual returns. All right. Now, number 2, open a file with the FIRS. This is very important, and I'm going to talk a little about this later on. All right. So let me not dwell on this. You can also visit these websites to know your tax office, but I'll get back to that later. Now, number 3, start filing the necessary monthly and annual returns with FIRS. Beyond LIRS, there's returns you're expected to file with FIRS. And we're going to talk about that later on. So let me not dwell on it. If you know you are not commencing businesses immediately after incorporation, do step 1 and do step 2, and then write to FIRS to inform them that. Now, this is the mistake a lot of us make. And I know a lot of people on this table that I'm shaking right now. A lot of us have businesses you have registered, and you are not registered with the FIRS yet. And that business is over 6 months, maybe 1 year, 2 years, whatever it is. What you are supposed to do, and if your business is new, you have not yet even registered a business and you're about to, this information is coming to you at the right time. Once your business is registered, before your business is 6 months, you're expected to go to the FIRS and register. If you are not going to do that, maybe you register the business and you are not going to use it yet. You are doing other things, or you are employed and you are not ready to start using it. What you are expected to do is to follow step 1. That means file the necessary annual return with CAC. Follow step 2, open a file with the FIRS. And then after that, you're supposed to write to the FIRS to inform them that you have not commenced business. If not, penalties will start counting. All right. So, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit more about FIRS later on. So I don't want to dwell on that. All right, let's go straight to your state's internal revenue. Of course, I use the logo of Lagos Internal Revenue because that is where we are located currently in Nigeria. All right. And a lot of businesses on this, I'm sure on this Zoom call are in Lagos. But if you're not in Lagos, your state, like I said, your state has an internal revenue service, and you should do these same things that I'm going to be talking about. All right. So what does your state internal revenue, IRS is State Internal Revenue Service. What do your state internal revenue service expect from you? Number 1 is to register your company. That's number 1 thing they expect you to do. They expect you to register your company. A lot of us have not done that. Most of us don't know that once you once you register business with CAC and your certificate comes out, you are expected to register with your state internal revenue. You are expected to register with the federal inland revenue. And I'm going to talk about all of these things. All right. Register your company, start filing monthly returns, and start filing annual returns. And I'm going to talk briefly about these three things that I just mentioned now. Now, are you expected? Sorry, my slide went a little bit back. All right. Are you expected to register with the state internal revenue? Remember, the first thing I said is to register with the state internal revenue. Now, if your business has been registered and registered with the CAC or incorporated, and you have not registered with the state internal revenue, usually I advise before you go to speak with your state internal revenue officials, please speak with a tax professional or a consultant. Speak with someone, all right, speak with me, speak with anybody that's around you. If you have a tax professional or a consultant around you, speak with them, get advice before going ahead. It is very important, and there's a reason why I usually advise this. It's better you get advice before walking up to them, because by the time you walk up to them, it might be too late. Now, if you're in Nigeria, most states have different ways of registering for taxes. But if you're in Lagos, for instance, if you're in Lagos State, you are required to register your business, register yourself, and register your staff. Now, the reason you are registering yourself as the business owner and you are registering your staff is that state internal revenue services generally in Nigeria are saddled with the responsibility of personal income taxes. So the main taxes that state internal revenue services deal with are personal income taxes. Personal income taxes either for a business name or for individuals. A business name is not a legal entity like a limited liability company. So if you register a business name, it is considered like an individual, like a person, all right? And that means that most of your taxes is going to be with the state internal revenue. All right. If you also registered as an individual, that means your personal income as a business owner, your personal income is the profit from your business. Of course, as an employee, your personal income is the salary you're earning. So whatever is the case, you're expected to register your business first, register yourself as the business owner, and register your staff. All these registrations are done online, and the website is there to effect all these registrations. But like I said, before you go ahead and do this, speak with a tax consultant so that you get good advice on how to go about this, so that you won't implicate yourself in the process of trying to do this. All right. Now, what are the monthly filings that you are supposed to file with your state internal revenue? Number one is payee. Payee is pay as you earn. That is the personal income tax for your employees, your staff. You're expected to, every employer in Nigeria, all right, is expected to deduct personal income tax from the salaries of their staff. Good thing is that from 2021, thereabout, the Finance Act gave a concession to those who earn below the minimum wage in Nigeria. So your salary is 30,000 and below, or those that are working with you, if their salary is 30,000 and below, they are exempted from paying. So you don't need to deduct from those ones. But anybody earning above 30,000, even if it's 31,000, you are expected to deduct personal income tax from their salary and remit it to the government every month. Every month you don't do this and you pay them their full salary, guess what? The business is going to pay a penalty for it every month. And this applies in any state in Nigeria that you belong to. Number two tax you are expected to file is withholding tax. This you are expected to deduct it from your vendors. Now, these vendors are vendors majorly artisans. Now, it's expected that you will deduct a portion of whatever you are paying to them, all right? And then remit it to the government. Now, it's an advanced way of you paying tax on that person's behalf or income tax on that person's behalf to the government. And then that person will recover it when they are paying their taxes at the end of the year. All right, so these are the two taxes. Remember I said something earlier that when I was talking about the petty cash document, that if you send money to your staff and there is no documentation like that petty card voucher, the government will assume that this money you send to them is not their salary. It is money, maybe they are doing a particular job for the company and you are paying them separately. And that means that you are expected to have removed withholding tax from that money. All right, so government will charge you withholding tax on all those monies that you are sending to your staff to go and help the company do something, except you can provide documentation that says, no, this money is not payment for a service. This money is for them to go and do something for the company. And that's why documentation is very important. If you do documentations well as a business owner, you are going to save your company a lot of money when tax bodies or tax authorities come calling. But if you don't do it, if you don't do documentations, you are going to be putting yourself in a lot of trouble, because there will be no way, nobody will hear your verbal defense or your verbal explanation that, no, this is what the money was used for. There must be a document that says this is what the money, a signed document by the person or by where they bought the thing from or whatever it is. So these are the two filings that every business owner is expected to file with the state internal revenue every month. Of course, at the end of the year now, your state internal revenue, as the director or the owner of the business, you will do director's assessments. That means that is your own personal income tax. Remember, payee is for your employees. Director's assessment is for the business owner, the owner of the business. You are expected to pay tax on the profits that you made for that business, but you are expected to do it at the end of the year. The one for your staff is every month, because we believe that you pay your staff every month their salary. But director's assessment, we believe that a business owner cannot really verify their profit from the business until by the end of the year when they prepare their accounts. So at the end of the year, after you have prepared your account, it's expected that when you calculate your profits, you are expected to pay a portion, a percentage of that profit as taxes to them. Now, the percentage in Nigeria, we operate a progressive taxation system, especially for company income, for personal income tax. So the percentage is depending on the amount. I may not be able to present the percentages here in this meeting because that is a quite complex calculation, and I usually do it only in private sessions. All right, so we are expected to pay personal income tax on your profits as the director of the business. Number two, payee and withholding tax. I've talked about those ones. So, but when you are filing annual return, you are now expected all the payee and withholding tax that you paid every month. Now you are expected to now present all the documents to file annual return at the end of the year. Then, depending on your state, you are also expected to pay business premises levy. The amount for this is different in different states. In Lagos, it is 10,000 in the first year, and then subsequent years, it is 5,000 naira. And then development levy, or also in Lagos, it is 100 naira for per staff that you have per year. All right. So this is all that is expected of you when it comes to remember LIRS. I first talked about what you're supposed to do to register. I talked about the monthly returns, and I just talked about the annual returns for your state internal revenue. And we have talked about the CAC earlier. Now, lastly, is the Federal Inland Revenue Service. All right, the Federal Inland Revenue Service is the umbrella body, is the federal body that is expected. Now, Federal Inland Revenue Service majorly deals with corporate taxes. Majorly, they have some other taxes that they deal with, but majorly they deal with corporate taxes. All right, they deal with VAT, they deal with company income tax, they deal with some other consumption taxes, like that. So now the Federal Inland Revenue Service, what does Federal Inland Revenue Service expect from you? The same thing that applies with state internal revenue also applies with Federal Inland Revenue Service. You are expected to register your business with them, number one. Number two, you are expected to file monthly returns, and you're expected to file annual returns. I believe as I'm talking, I'm answering some questions that some people have asked on the group, or I've asked earlier after the class that we had on Friday. And if you have further questions, please drop it in the comment section. I'm going to answer them after I'm done with this session. All right, so what does the FIRS expect from you? Like I said, register a business, file monthly returns, thirdly, file annual returns. All right. How do you register your business with the FIRS? Once again, I will say again, speak with a tax professional or consultant. Remember, if you notice, when I talked about CAC, I didn't really talk about speaking with a professional because it's quite straightforward. But when I started talking about LIRS and FIRS, I've emphasized it twice. Before you go ahead, speak with a professional or consultant, because so that you will not put yourself in trouble. It's like, most of the time, if you are going to be taking up a legal case, it's best you speak with a lawyer, because that person understands. Sometimes you have a good case, but if you present your good case badly, you will implicate yourself. All right. So the same thing applies here. Sometimes there's even no problem with your business, but if you go ahead and register, and of course, in the process of registration, some information will be asked from you. And if you present those informations wrongly, like a layman, and you don't know how you're supposed to present it, you will put your business in trouble, and then you will get into tax liability. That is unnecessary. But if you speak with a consultant first, the person will be able to tell you, when they ask you this is what you're supposed to write, or the person even helps you do it so that it becomes easier for you. So first of all, speak with a tax professional or consultant. Number two, there's something I call the 6 months rule. I mentioned it earlier, but let me mention it again, because this is backed up by law. This is a major requirement by law. It is expected that every time you register a business with the CAC in Nigeria, either as a business name or as a limited liability company, after you have registered, there's a date on your CAC certificate. All right, when you get the CAC certificate, at most 6 months after that date, you are expected to file annual. You are expected to go and register with CAC. With FIRS. This is a legal requirement. It's in the Company Income Tax Act. So if you don't do it, you are breaking a law. If you have not done it, you have already broken a law, and there's a penalty for not doing it. A lot of businesses have accumulated unnecessary penalty by just doing what they would have done free of charge. And this doesn't cost any money. This registration is free of charge. You're not paying for it. But if you don't do it, and then that time elapses, you might be paying some heavy penalty as a result of not doing it. All right. So 6 months after registering your business, you are expected to register with the state, with the FIRS. All right. Now, the next thing is visit. Now, I've written this website here to know your tax office. Now, if you are registering, now you can't just walk up to any FIRS office. Please, you have to take note. When dealing with the Federal Inland Revenue Service, you can't just walk up to any FIRS office. Immediately your business is registered, usually the CAC forwards your name to the FIRS, and your documents are your company is attached to a particular tax office. All right. Now, it is that particular tax office that you are supposed to go to. So you can't just walk up to any FIRS office. There's a specific tax office you're expected to go to. Now, if you want to know that tax office, you might need to visit this website. Now, if you visit this website, sometimes you might visit there and you would still, now when you go to the website, you are expected to enter either the CAC number or the tax identification number of your business, and then it brings out the details of the business. All right. Now, part of the details it will bring is your tax office. You are expected to visit that tax office, all right, to do this registration. Visit your tax office, all the CAC documents, and get registered. Remember, I'm still talking about registration with FIRS now. Fill an update form to register. So there is 2 registrations. There's registration in the tax office, and then there's registration on Tax Pro Max. Tax Pro Max is the online platform for FIRS, and that is where all the, you are going to start filing, doing all your filing, moving forward. But the first visit, you have to go to the office to do it. You can't do that online. All right. So that is registration for FIRS. The next thing is you are expected to file monthly returns. All right. What monthly returns? The only monthly returns that major monthly returns that FIRS expects from you is VAT. All right. Every business is expected to file VAT. Even businesses that are exempted or that are called zero rated, you are still expected to file. Filing is not paying. When the law says you are exempted, it means you are exempted from paying. That means that you will not pay money to them. But filing is compulsory for every business. In fact, not just business, even NGOs are expected to file every month. All right. Of course, you can't file if you have not registered. So it all starts from registering. Then you're expected to start filing VAT every month with FIRS. Everyone that has questions, I can see a lot of hands being raised. Please drop your questions in the comment section or wait until the end of the session and you'll be allowed to ask your questions as much as possible. All right. So the next, of course, is the annual returns. Now, if you register a business name, you are not going to file annual returns with FIRS. Annual returns for FIRS is only for companies. That means, limited liability companies, either 1 million or whatever number of shares. So annual returns with FIRS is not for business names. Business name, you will file every other thing we have talked about, but you won't file this particular one. You are not filing it. So, but if you register a limited liability company, you're expected to file company income tax. That is the tax on the profit of your company. All right. Then education tax. All right. And then police trust fund. Everything will be filed together. So usually now, this one, you cannot do it by yourself. Every other thing I've talked about, you may not be able to do some of them yourself, but this one, you will need a professional because you will need an auditor stamp. You will need an auditor to prepare the accounts for you and then to put their stamp and then submit it on your behalf and all of that. So you will need to speak with a professional to do this. All right. So now, these are all the annual returns that are expected. Remember, I talked about CAC. I talked about registering with them. I talked about annual returns with them, what you're supposed to do before and after registering your company. I talked about your state internal revenue. I talked about registering with them. And I talked about your annual returns with them. Your monthly returns with them and your annual returns with them. Then we talked about the FIRS, all right? And we talked about how to register with them and the monthly returns that you're supposed to file with them and the annual return you're supposed to file with the FIRS. Briefly, before I bring this to a close, I want us quickly to run a test on your business. Now, this is a test I usually run for businesses around me, all right, every time I get to speak. And it's a quick test. And we want to quickly check your business right now. We want to do a medical check. All right. So assume that I'm a doctor and I'm putting a stethoscope or I'm putting, I don't know the name they call all these machines that doctors put on your body to check your blood pressure and check all your basic vitals so that they can be able to know, what, are the issues that they need to address immediately. So assuming I'm a doctor, I'm putting that machine on the body of your business and we want to quickly run a check to see the things that you need to quickly pay attention to right now. If you don't want the business to get into serious trouble, and if the business is already in serious trouble, well, like I said, you need to speak with a professional to sort it. So let's quickly run the check and then I'll round this off very quickly and then we can begin to attend to our questions. So we're doing a quick compliance checklist on your business. All right. And you're going to be answering some of these questions very fast. Very fast. Number one, is your business registered with the CAC? Now, the way I need you to answer these questions, if the answer to the question is done and up to date, grade yourself a 10. If your answer is you have never done it, grade yourself a 5. If your answer is that you have done it at some point, but it's not up to date, that means you started doing it at some point and then you stopped, grade yourself a 0. And there's a reason. I'm sure someone will say, you should never done should be 0. No, the reason is very simple. If you have never done it, you are better off than someone that has done it before and has stopped. Why? If you have never done it and you speak to a professional and someone that can advise you rightly, they can advise you in a way that you can be able to save yourself some trouble. But if you have done it before and you stopped, you have to pick up from where you stopped. So nobody can save you anything. But speak with a professional so that you just help you manage the trouble that you're already in. All right. So that's why if you have done it and it's up to date, grade yourself a 10. If you have never done it, grade yourself a 5. And then if you have done it, but it's not up to date, grade yourself a 0. And then at the end of the day, let's know your total mark. Is your business registered with the CAC? Grade yourself a 10, a 5, or a 0. All right. That means if it's registered, grade yourself a 10. Well, never done it, 5. Done but not up to date might not apply for this question number 1. So then, have you been filing your CAC annual returns every year since you got incorporated? All right. If you have always filed and is up to date with the CAC, grade yourself a 10. If you have never filed annual return and your business, especially if your business is over a year, grade yourself a 5. If you did it at the time, but you have not continued doing it, grade yourself a 0. If your business has been registered above 6 months, and have you opened a file with the FIRS? Remember, I talked about the 6-month rule. So if you have done it, give yourself a 10. If you have never done it, give yourself a 5. Of course, the third option would not apply in these questions. Is that a yes or a no? All right. Now, have you filed 2022 annual return with the Federal Inland Revenue Service? That means, have you filed 2022? Remember, this is 2022 annual return is expected to have been filed between January to June this year. So that means if you have not done it by now, that means it's already late. All right. So if you have done 2022 annual return, of course, and previous years, if your business is above 2 years, that means not just 2022, but previous years. If you have done up to date, grade yourself a 10. If you have never done it before, give yourself a 5. If you did annual return at some point, but maybe you didn't do last year, or maybe if you did, maybe you stopped at some point, grade yourself a 0. Have you filed 2022 annual return with your state internal revenue? Remember, I mentioned annual return for state internal revenue. Also, if you have done it and up to date, now state internal revenue, the annual return is supposed to be done in January. All right. So if you have not done it at all, all right, if you have not done it since January, or you have not done at all, then grade yourself a 5. If you have done it and it is up to date, that means you have done all the years. You have filed state internal revenue annual return all the years that your business has been registered till date, grade yourself a 10. If you have done it at some point, but you stopped doing it, grade yourself a 0. Lastly, have you filed monthly VAT withholding tax and staff payee up to date? That means till this last month. By now, today is 10th of July. The deadline for filing payee for businesses is today. Then VAT and withholding tax, the deadline is 21st of the month. So that means by now you're expected to have filed June annual monthly return with your state internal revenue, or at least you're expected to file it today. And then VAT, which is for FIRS, you're expected to file the latest by the 21st of the month. All right, so now let's know what is your total score. If someone scored 60-60 here, I'm clapping for you already. You can look at me, I'm clapping for you. If you scored 60-60, all right, and I'm hoping there are some people here that will actually score 60-60 from this 6 question. But if your score is less than 60, trust me, there is trouble somewhere waiting for you. There's trouble, and you need to speak with a professional like now, today, if possible. All right? Because there might be something you need to work on. And every of these taxes that I mentioned, if you have not been doing them, there is penalty. So the main problem with taxes is not even the tax itself, it's the penalty that accumulates when you don't file it. I've had situations where I've dealt with businesses where I've had to advise the business owner to go and close down the business and register another business, why the penalty is so much. All right. And sometimes, the penalty, for them to pay it, that means that they practically have to, borrow money, to be, because the business cannot pay it, and so usually that's why it's best that every tax you're supposed to file it at the right time, so that you will not need to pay penalties. Penalties kill businesses if taxes are not done at the right time. All right, I will come to the end of this session, and this is the point where I get to answer questions, and I want the moderators to moderate this session, please, so that it will be easy for us to.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
so much, Mr. Olasoji. Thank you for that amazing session. I know taxation is usually one of the very serious topics business owners actually have to deal with. And we've actually gotten so much insight on that. And also, I've been seeing comments as to, oh my God, I'm in serious trouble. So please don't be in serious trouble. That's why we are having the sessions to enlighten you and then also provide solutions to you as well. And again, that's what Mr. Olasoji does at Sporos Consult. So he helps businesses regarding taxation and also the bookkeeping management. That's what he does. So if you're interested in doing that, after today's session, I'm going to share a group link so you can go in there and continue the conversation with our facilitator. So you can ask questions and you can also, sign up for his personalized one-on-one consultation for your business. So now we are actually going into the questions, Q&A. So for those that have questions, please start sending in your questions. For those that want to speak, please, I would love you to signify. So I think I have some persons here. Can I have Boma? Please unmute yourself and go ahead with your questions.
Okay, good day, sir.
Good morning.
Good day, ma'am.
Two questions. One, I registered my CAC 2 years. Unfortunately, the lawyer who did the registration did not explain all of this to me. All I just know is that, okay, you now have your FRIS and then you have your CAC. And then I started operating. And will I say fortunately or unfortunately, I have not really had staff like that. It has just been me and sometimes my husband helping me in the business. Okay, so that was 2021. I started the business. So that whole year, I did not do anything. And then last year as well. But this year, I wanted to renew my NAFDAC. And then they asked me for my Promax. Then I got confused that the Promax for what? And then they asked me to go to my Promax, my FIRS office. I went to the one near me and they told me to go to the branch that I was registered in. So I went there and they did the Promax update for me. But they made a comment and said, you have been the ones that have been disobeying. And I was wondering, disobeying what? But they didn't explain anything further. And they did the update for me and said, okay, you can now start remitting. So it just happened this June. So I don't know, is it that I'm going to start remitting from July or that I have to now go backwards to start remitting from the very beginning when I did the registration, which is 2021? That is number one question. Now, number two question is for the CAC, now it's 2 years that I had registered. So from what you're saying is that I am already up defaulted. That's what it means. Because I didn't know that they do anything, registering anything. Okay, and for the LIRS, I had gone to them. I did go to them last year, and they told me to do some procedures, and I was like, okay, I'll come later. They didn't explain to me that I had to do it as, soon as possible. I only now registered for myself as a person and paid last year. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. So that's my question.
Okay, I'll quickly answer this. I'm sure a lot of people probably have the same question, so I'll quickly address that. So number one question is that thank God you have gone to the FIRS office and they have registered you on Tax Promax. Now I might need to check on your Tax Promax, log into your Tax Promax and check what was updated there. Is your company a limited company or a business name? Boma, can you please unmute yourself and answer?
Yes, it's a sole business, like an enterprise. It's not
an enterprise. Oh, beautiful. Yes. So that is that makes things a lot easier for you, because the only thing that you're expected to file with FIRS as a business name is VAT. But even at that, VAT, the penalties for VAT sometimes are even higher than the penalties for company income tax. So we might need to go through your tax pro max. All right, see what taxes were updated. So when you are registered on Tax Pro Max, the system, depending on the commencement date you filled, the system automatically updates some taxes you are expected to file there. So now that's the first thing, is to file those ones. So I'm hoping whatever dates, whatever taxes were put there, which will most likely be only VAT. Now that is what we'll first file. Now, after filing that, most of the time, later on, of course, there would most likely be an audit that will be required at some point. Because your business has been registered for some time, you are expected to actually have been filing VAT from the beginning of when the business was registered. All right. So usually, depending on some things that is now assessed when the tax authority assesses your business, they now determine from when you would be required to file VAT. All right. So, but ideally, you would be required to file from the beginning when the business was registered, or at least from when the business started operating a bank account. But like I said, you will need to speak more with a tax consultant or a tax person to get more details and to be sure about where things are right now and what you should start doing. Now, about the second question, with CAC, like I said, you are expected to file. So right now, your business was registered in 2021. You are expected to file, depending on when it was registered in 2021, you would at least be required to file 2022 annual return with CAC, at least 2022 annual return, which is already due by, depending, like I said, if your business was registered very early in 2021, you will also need to file 2021. So at least you have 1 year to file with the CAC, or you might have 2 years, up to 2 years. And of course, both years you will file it with penalty, because either ways you're already late right now. So both years will be filed with penalties, but at least you file 1 year or 2 years with the CAC. I believe that answers your question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. Now we want to have Sunny Omeka. I hope I pronounced that well. Please go ahead with your questions, and then we can now take questions on the chat box. Hello, Sunny. We can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right. Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please go ahead with the
yes, this session is very, very important for me, and I've been shaking, but I'm trying to compose myself. Thank you very much, Mr. Olasoji. I have a few questions. I wanted to confirm, what if my business is registered in let's say Benue State, because on the CAC you have your registered address there, right? It's registered in Benue State, for instance, and then you now have like branch offices in Lagos or Ogun State, for instance, because it's a sole proprietorship I am operating. So how do you marry or reconcile all these papers and all this taxation stuff? Do you pay, for instance, Benue State Inland Revenue Service, and you pay in Lagos, and you pay in all those places you have branches, or how do you do it?
Okay. So the way it works. Okay, yeah, ask second question so that we'll answer everything together.
Okay, all right. The second one is now, after 2 years registration, for instance, I registered, I think 2021. After 2 years, how can I still write to the FIRS that, for instance, if your business is not exactly functioning or things are not really going fine as expected, and then you need to write, you say you can write to them, telling them, oh, your business is not taking off yet. So after 2 years, for instance, and you say, okay, I want to take a pause. Let me write to these guys. What do you do?
Okay. So the first question, you said your business was registered in Benue State, right?
Yes.
In Benue State. So most likely, now depending on a number of factors, but most likely, as far as the FIRS is concerned, your tax office will be somewhere close to where your business was registered. So
okay.
I don't know. I would have to check the FIRS offices in Benue State. Most likely to be in one of them, or if there's just one, it would be that tax office. All right. So, but if you are no more operational in Benue and you are probably now in Lagos, you can redirect it. You can move it from where it is to the state where you are operational, so that you can, because you need your tax office to be close by, so that to be easy to do everything that you need to do. So that is for FIRS. All right. Now with CAC also, depending, you might need also to change your address with the CAC. All right. You know, if we talk, I might be able to explain that. All right. Then of course, state internal revenue. As far as state internal revenue is concerned, you are supposed to file all your state internal revenue taxes in the state where you're operational. So if you are operational in multiple states, that means you file in all of those states. All right. Okay. If you are operational in one state, if it's in Lagos, that's where you'll be filing. If it's in Benue, that's where you'll be filing. Wherever it is, that's where you're expected to file. All right. So that is how the taxes work generally for all of those. And then the second question, now, if your business is not operational yet, and when I say not operational, it's not like it has been operational and then you now want to stop. All right. Now, if it's not operational at all right, like I said, speak with the professional. The person will be able to help you with that registration and then writing to them. You might not be able to do that yourself. All right. Yes, sir. But you should speak with a professional so that the person would help you with that registration part. All right. It is after the registration that you can now drop that letter, because of course your letter will be kept in a file, and it is when you register that you will have a file. Do you understand? So that's why, like, also if you go to an hospital, the first thing they do is to create a file for you, so that every document, so that they can trace your history. Okay, at some point you drop this letter. By the time your business is operational again, and then you bring out that letter, they put it in that file also. By the time you start filing, they are keeping all your filings in that file also, so that they can trace your history and all of that. So that's the purpose of it. All right. So I believe I've answered all your questions, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lasoji. So before we go ahead taking more questions, we have some questions sent in from YouTube. So someone is asking, am I supposed to file annual returns if my business has not been operating? And then the second question is, what happens when you're already in business for years and never paid tax?
Okay. So the first question, if your business now, with CAC, it doesn't matter if your business is operational or not, you're expected to file annual returns. All right. If you don't want to file annual returns, go and close the business with CAC. Because operational or not, you're expected to file. Now, with Internal Revenue Service, both LIRS and FIRS, if your business is not operational, number one, you are expected to inform them. All right, that is what shows that your business. If you can't just say, I'm not operational, they should know. They are not expected to know. And as far as they don't know, that means they have not been informed officially. Whatever penalties they are supposed to bill you for not filing what you're supposed to file, they will keep accumulating those penalties. All right. So the only way you can save yourself from those penalties is to inform them. All right. So write to them and inform them. Now, when you say your business is not operational also, it's not like you now write to them that my business is operational, and then later on, when they now check, they see that money is flowing in your business account and it's flowing out. That is a lie. Your business is operational. And someone will say, it's personal funds that I'm passing through my business account. Tax bodies don't know the difference between personal funds and your business funds. So if you say your business is not operational, that means that for that period when the business is not operational, your business account will not be functional. There will not be business activity happening. All right. Because if anything shows that your business is active, all right, even if you have written to them, you have broken that law by yourself when you keep doing business despite the fact that you have informed. So it's not just about writing to them, it's about the fact that when you say your business is operational, it should not be operational, it should not be doing anything. And even if you don't do the business through your business account, now FIRS has a way of knowing that you are still operational. Because now when you do business with other businesses and they are paying you, that business is expected, when they are filing their monthly return, they are also expected to enter your team. So, and that means that FIRS knows that you did business with this person. So how do you come back to them later and tell them that I wasn't doing business during this period, when someone has already filed and entered that they did business with you and they paid you? Do you understand? So all of that has to be married. So that's why I said you need to speak with a professional so that the person will explain to you that this is how to go about it. If your business is truly not functional, it's not operating again, then you can write to them. And of course, you'll be covered for that period. And then when you kickstart all over again, you write back to them and they activate you all over again. So that's basically how that works.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Lasaji, for answering those questions. So we can now take some questions on those that actually signify to speak. Let's start from Ini.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead with your question.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
That was a very enlightening session. So my very first question is, you mentioned something on business premises levy. Now, yes. How do you propose that those of us that operate from a mall, having paid rent, should still go ahead and pay our business premise levy? So I was a bit confused there. I just need a bit of clarity.
If you operate from a mall?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right.
So that's the first question. Then the second question is, what if the business at some point prior to the pandemic and post-pandemic for almost 2 years, the business was shut down? And I recall you mentioning to someone just a few minutes ago in the last the last question you answered, that we could have reported to the CACA and all of that. However, my CACA, after I had returned, after I had reopened the business fully, I still went ahead, got somebody in Abuja that was able to help me with my CACA filing and all of that. But my major challenge now is, after this 2-year shutdown that I wasn't operational, what happens to the LRS and FIRS and all of those annual returns that I need to do? Should I go ahead and still register and tell them, okay, my business was shut down at a particular period and now I'm ready to kickstart again? Will I have to pay for penalties and all of that? So that's the second question. Then my third question is the payee. Because my business is a fashion business, so how is it applicable to seasonal or contract staff? They'll come for a particular period, you have to pay them salaries or pay them what they are due, and then they go off and it's on and off and all of that. They are not like, you can't say permanent staff per se. So sometimes if the money is even coming up from the company books or from your personal books, the important thing is that they are being paid. So how does that pay applies to them? When you're going to now do your annual returns and all of that, so that you don't find yourself in a very uncomfortable position. Thank you very much. Those are my 3 questions.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so your first question about operating from a mall. Now, depends on the arrangement. For some malls, they have an arrangement with the LRS where they work with all the tenants in the mall, all right, and then sort that. Some malls have that arrangement, all right. So, but if that arrangement is not present, you would have to sort your business premises levy yourself, all right. I know one of the things that LRS even does is that they actually even go to malls and public business places, and then they walk into your shop and ask you if you have paid business premises, you have paid this one, you have paid that. All right. So if that arrangement doesn't exist within your mall, that means that you have to sort your business premise levy yourself. All right. And that business premise levy, even if you have multiple locations, you have to pay for each location separately.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
That's the way it works. All right. Now, of course, they believe it's not much because it's an annual thing, and if you're paying 5,000 for the whole year, it's relatively very low. All right. So so that's the way that works. Now, concerning the second question, now the good thing, like you said or yourself, CAC, you, even if your business is operating or not, you have to, and thank God you have already sorted that. All right. So now, but for LRS and FIRS, you might need to speak with someone, a professional, that would advise you on how to go, because if you are able to present your case right, you might be able to get some concessions here and there for those periods where the business was not operational. But ideally, you're supposed to file for all those periods because you did not inform them that the business was not operational during that period.
Okay.
All right. Then the third question was about payee, right? Now, about payee also, now it depends on the status of those staff. Are they employed at full staff? Now, it's either of two things. It's either you are filing, once you pay for somebody's service, it's either you are paying payee for the person if the person is a staff, or you are paying withholding tax on behalf of that person if the person is not a staff. All right. So if it's a staff that you pay every month for, it is payee. All right. If it's someone that just comes, it is irregular, like the person comes, does the job, you pay the person, all right, then it is withholding tax. All right. So that is basically what. So you deduct withholding tax from that person's payment and pay to the government. But if it's a staff that you're paying salaries to, then you deduct payee from that person's salary and pay to the government. So it's either of those two things. It has to be either of both.
And in the case that you've not been collecting the withholding tax for the contract, what do we do now?
Well, like I said, speak with the consultants because that would mean that, of course, like I said, ideally, that means that you would have to pay all the withholding tax and payee from those salaries that you have paid. But like I said, if you speak with the consultant, the person will be able to help you now look at it and, and then help you find a way to just minimize, all of that.
I really appreciate this, sir. Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olasoji. I think we still have some time to take in more questions. So can we have Bosede Obo? Please go ahead with your question.
Finally, thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon, Mr. Olasoji.
Good morning, ma'am.
The session I've been crying all since. I've been crying. That finally, Mr. Olasoji gave us brain. And now the brain is already cracking our own brain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
I need to get in touch.
Hi, Bosede.
Yeah,
we can't hear you.
I can't hear you well too. It's like, I don't know, maybe your speaker, you might need to use an earphone or come closer to the device.
Are you hearing me well now?
It's better now.
Are you hearing me well?
It's better now. It's better now.
Okay. Yeah, I said I need to get your contact to be in touch with you as soon as this class is over.
Okay.
Then secondly, my question is, number one, I have some staff. I'm into food processing and farming. I have some staff that just come in during the planting season. They just work for like maybe a month. And even that a month, you have to pay them every day. 1,500 or 2,000 naira per day, and it can just be 3 days in a week. But I see, give account of them in my book. So how do I handle that? That's number one. Number two, my business has been registered for a long time. And one of the businesses, when I saw that I was going to run into trouble, I went and started another one, which was in 2021. But middle of the first quarter of this year, I asked the person that did the registration as a limited liability company that when am I supposed to file annual returns? She said it's not yet. I still have like maybe 2 years. That is at the end of this year that I should, it was 2021 that I registered. And I just opened a bank account for it. So I've not really been operating it. I just opened a bank account last week for it to start using that business. So right now, am I in trouble with the business or not? And I've not gone to any office. The only thing I know is that on the CHC document, they put something like a 10, whatever thing, on it. I have not gone anywhere. Yes, the document has been with me for 2 years, 2021. I don't know what to do. So that's why I said it's a lot of crying. But please, I need to get how to get across to you as soon as this session is over. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Okay, so like I said, the first question about the staff that come in and they are not, they just work seasonally. Like I said when I answered earlier, I think the same answer applies. It depends on how you, so most of the time we might need to check how you pay them and all that to be able to advise further and say, okay, this is how you should, are you remitting as payee or are you remitting as withholding tax, and how can you find your way around whatever it is you are supposed to remit. All right, so maybe when we talk, I might be able to answer that a lot more elaborately. All right, but as far as the other company is concerned, now the good thing is you are speaking with someone. I want to believe that person is a professional. So for that person to tell you that you have till the end of this year, well, that means that person has a plan to defend you. All right. But at least that you should have registered with the FIRS, at least. That's the least you should have done, at least. And then filing annual return, like I said, I believe that person has a plan to be able to help you with the filing. If that person is a professional, that person would know what to do, because ideally, if your business was registered in 2021, ideally by the end of 2022, at least you should have filed, by now, you should have filed your first annual return. So if that has not yet been done, I would want to believe that that person has a very solid plan. Let's talk though, and and we might be able to help you see a better working around this. So I think I would stop there on that question until we'll probably talk further. All right, so
thank you so much, Mr. Olasoji. Can you take one more question?
Yes. We still have some time at this too.
Okay, so please, for those that are actually putting in questions on the chat box, please can you just resend them, because I know I may have missed some of those questions. And also, if you still have more questions, of course, we can't take everyone's questions because of the short time for the session. I'm going to be sharing a WhatsApp group link. It's a closed group where you can throw in your questions. Mr. Olasoji will be there to answer all of your questions. And please, again, as I mentioned earlier, Sporus Consult, founded by Mr. Olasoji, this is exactly what they do for SMEs. They can help with your business, filing of tax for your business, and also with the bookkeeping management. So on that group, if you're interested, one of his representatives is on the group, and you can share your interest, and she will share the details with you. So please, I urge everyone to take advantage of it. When you're on the group, just share your interest. More details will be shared across to you. So right now, let's have a question from, sorry, Mr. Olasoji, trying to select.
I see a question there in the comment section.
Okay, you can go ahead with that.
I'd probably love to answer it. Someone asks, I understand that if a business does not make up to 25 million turnover, that business will not be expected to pay taxes. Well, the answer is yes and no. All right. So now I'll explain why it is yes and no. Now, every business is expected to pay taxes. That is the general rule. Every business in Nigeria, either as a business name or as a limited company. Now, the thing is this, the 2019 Finance Act, all right, now gives an exemption. Of course, government wanted to encourage small businesses, all right, so they granted an exemption to businesses that are categorized as small businesses. That means a business that their annual turnover or their annual sales is less than 25 million, to be exempted from paying company income tax. All right, company income tax only. All right, and then of course later on they also exempted them from paying VAT. Now, but let me explain the exemption, because the exemption is qualified. It's not a blanket exemption. Now, the exemption is that, first of all, that company still has to file. You are just not paying, but you are still filing. Remember, I differentiate between filing and paying. All right. So you are expected to still file, just that you will be exempted from paying actual company income tax only. All right. Now, in 2021, they now extended the exemption to include education tax also. But as of 2020, it was just company income tax. That means for 2020, you are still expected to pay education tax and any other tax that applied that year. All right. So it's just company income tax and then VAT. All right. If you fall within that category, now what happens with VAT is that now normally as a business, generally, it is expected that you're supposed to charge VAT on your service or your product when your customers are paying. So for instance, most of us, if we go to a mall, for instance, you will see VAT written on your receipt, the price of the product on top and then VAT below, and then you pay the total together. That mall is going to remit that VAT to the government. Every business is also expected to do that. But now in that 2020, now an exemption was now given to companies that are small businesses that are below 25 million, that you don't have to charge your customers that VAT. All right, that means that unlike companies that don't fall within that category, it is compulsory. And if you don't charge your customer, it will be charged from your profits and you have to pay it. But if you fall within that category, you are not forced to charge that VAT. But you can still charge it of your own free will. All right. It's not like you are now completely not expected to charge it. All right. So you are if you can, you can still charge it. And once you charge it and your customer pays you that VAT, you're expected to file to the government to pay it. But charging or not, remember I said that you are still expected to file. So filing has to be done, either you are paying or not. So for company income tax, annual returns, if your company is a limited liability company, even if you are below 25 million, you are still expected to file company income tax, just that you won't pay tax. All right, you won't pay the company income tax. And then for VAT, also the same thing as a business name or a limited company. If you can, charge your customers and then remit it to the government when they pay you. But if you don't charge them, all right, you would be cut some slack, all right, and then but you will still be required to file. All right. Of course, in that case, that means you're filing, we call it nil filing, NIL. You are filing 0 or nil. All right, but you still, everybody has to file. All right, everybody has to file. And like I said, the exemption is qualified, so you might need to speak with the consultant to know how the exemption now applies to you. All right, so I thought I needed to answer that question, which is very important. I don't know, Liza, I don't know if you have seen any other question within the comment section that has to be answered.
Yes, there's one particular question that have been popping up on the chat box. This question is from, please hold on. This question is from Benita. Do NGOs pay taxes? If yes, please, how much is it? Because I learned that NGOs do not pay taxes. Please, I need help. The initiative was registered in 2020 and we just commenced operation in May 2023. We have never filed for anything.
Okay, so same thing. The answer is still yes and no. All right. Now it is qualified. Now, an NGO is expected that you are not making profits. It's a non-profit. So there are some taxes you are exempted from. All right. Of course, for instance, you are not paying company income tax, all right, because it's not expected that you are not even a company, so you are not making profits. All right. And the only way an NGO makes money is through members' contributions or members' donations. You are not expected to pay tax on that donation. All right. But if an NGO is doing business, it will pay VAT. That means that some NGOs do business, like they sell books, they sell materials, they sell, do you understand? They engage in trading activities. All right. On those trading activities, you'll be expected to pay VAT. All right. Now, also, an NGO is expected to pay payee on if they have people that they are paying salaries to. Do you understand? If you have salaries that you're paying for your staff and all of that, you're expected to file payee. All right. Of course, an NGO doesn't have a director, so you are not expected to file directors. So, but like I said before, some of those taxes you might still have to. With FIRS, for instance, you are still expected to file for VAT, even though you are not paying it. All right. But if you do business activities, you're expected to pay. All right. Also, your payee for your staff, you're still expected to file. So, like I said, it's not a blanket exemption. So when the mistake a lot of people make is when they just hear generally, this so kind of business is exempted, they just go and relax and say, ah, thank God, my business is exempted. All right. So that's why most of the time when I explain these exemptions, I qualify it so that you understand that for you to qualify to enjoy this exemption, these are these are the conditions, so that you don't just assume generally and then you still enter trouble by the time the time comes. So that's the way it works for NGOs. They are not expected to file based on profits. They are not making profits, but they are filing VAT. They are filing payee for their staff, and then that's basically majorly what they're filing. Of course, any other withholding tax would also apply in that case if they have vendors and all of that. So, but generally they don't file. Yeah, so that's it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olasoji. We would not be able to take in more questions. However, I'm going to be sharing the WhatsApp link I stated earlier on the chat box, so you can join on the group. Once you join the group, please just state your questions immediately. If your questions are not answered immediately, please be patient. All questions on that group are going to be answered. So I'm going to be sharing the WhatsApp group link here, so you can all join it for those that want to ask questions, for those that want to, sign up for Mr. Olasoji's services in Sports Consult. You can ask your questions, you can state your interest there. And also, I saw a comment about a discount. So yes, there's the discounts just for participating in today's class. As one of the participants for SMEDAN Entrepreneurship Program, you have a discount, which Mr. Olasoji was very kind enough to give. So please, all of that information is going to be stated on that group. So if you're interested, please state your interest. There's a representative there that is going to answer all of that and send in all of the details you need. So I will be sharing that right away. Thank you so much, Mr. Olasoji, for such an amazing session. Thank you so much for having me. And please, if you're yet to fill in the attendance form, please do that quickly. We'll be going off soon. So please, I'm going to be sharing both links, the attendance form and the WhatsApp group link. Please just hold on. That will come in shortly. Kindly hold on. We're sending the link shortly. So that's the WhatsApp group link. So please, when you join the group, go ahead and share your questions that you have for Mr. Olasoji. It's going to be answered. And also state your interest as to what services you'd want Sports Consult to offer to you based on the financial management or taxation. There's a representative on the group that will take in all of your questions, and also share the necessary details as to what you want or what your needs are regarding today's session. I'm going to be sharing the attendance link again. I'm yet to share that, so please just hold on. So please, if you're yet to fill in the attendance form, kindly do so quickly. We'll be going off shortly. Please, if you're yet to fill in the attendance form, kindly do so quickly. And tomorrow, I know all details will be still shared on the community group. We'll be having our sales session. Again, it's one session you shouldn't miss. I'm sure that questions on sales have actually come up earlier. So tomorrow we'll basically be focusing on sales. So we have an industry expert in that area that will be taking us on sales session tomorrow. So please endeavor not to miss it. It's going to be same time. All details regarding that session is going to be shared soon, and that will be today. And yes, I don't know if Mr. Olasoji is still here. We are meant to have a group picture. Hello, Mr. Olasoji. We are meant to have a group picture, which is our normal ritual. So please, everyone, come on your video camera. Want to see your beautiful faces, of course, so we can have a group picture with our facilitator.
Have you shared the?
I'm yet to see everyone join the crew. Let's have a group picture to show that you actually attended today's session as well. And of course, remember your screenshots are meant to be shared on your social media pages. Please don't share it on the community group. Share on your social media pages, telling us about your learnings and also sending a note of appreciation to our facilitator for today. I'm going to reshare his social media handles as well, so you can now know the right pages to tag on your post. So please go ahead, take your screenshots, take your video recordings, post on your social media pages and tag us to it. Of course, we will definitely be reposting all of that. So please take your shots now. I'm taking mine. Please do take your shots now. And that's it for today. Thank you all so much. It definitely was an amazing session. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Someone said they can't join the WhatsApp group. Please, if you're having some issues, let me know. For those that are joining, please let me know also on the group, on the chat box.